Today we're back with the next instalment of the NCG Driver World Cup. Now we've got the Ping G410 Plus going head to head with the Cobra Speedzone. So let's get out and see how they perform. Now in terms of looks, these aren't too dissimilar in terms of shaping, but the big difference really come in the crown when we're looking at the finish and the additional details. I would say the Ping is definitely a lot simpler and I really do like that styling, but the matte finish isn't my preference compared to the gloss. However, I would say that there's quite a lot going on the top of the Speedzone. Obviously we've got the infinity face coming over the top, we've got these different colour detailings down the back, so there is a lot of different things going on. So I think for me, the kind of simplicity of the Ping wins here, but if it was a gloss finish, it would be just that little bit better. Now when it comes down to feel, the Ping has performed really well this year and I've been really impressed with it in this category. You'll have seen this if you watched the Best Driver video where I ranked it as my best feeling club of the year. So the Speedzone was always going to have a tough act to follow here. And actually I would say, when you strike them both out the middle, they're pretty on a par. I was really impressed with the feel from both. But I would say it comes down to more that off-centre strike, and on your bad shot, I definitely preferred the feel of the Ping. I would say the Cobra was a bit harsher in this sense, and probably a bit duller, and just, you could definitely feel the difference, which could be a positive in terms of feedback on strike, but in terms of overall feel, my preference would definitely be towards the Ping. In terms of performance, one thing I really like about the Ping is the consistency. I feel very confident over the ball knowing that I'm going to put a good strike on it and I'm going to get a really good distance down the fairway. Now I would say if anything this shaft is slightly lighter than what we see in the Speedzone, so I would say I have a tendency to turn it over a little bit more, but generally my shot shape is a draw, so this works quite nicely as I always feel like it's kind of taking the right side of the course out and I can control and have that consistent shot shape all the time. I would say the Speedzone definitely took me more time to get used to. I think that's mainly because it's slightly heavier in build, down to shaft, and also the swing weight and the head just feels a little heavier. But once I got used to this, I actually think that on my best shots this has kind of the most impressive ball fly. But unusually for me, it is a bit fade biased. I have been hitting a fade with this, which I don't mind. It's actually nice to be a bit different than usual, and it does mean I take that big left miss out. However, it means my bad shot is quite a big slice or quite a big fade, which when you're used to hitting a draw is quite of a strange feeling, so it's definitely one to consider that this is definitely slightly fade biased, which may or may not suit your game. Okay, so we're down in the fairway, and I have to say in terms of distance, these are virtually identical. There's maybe about 3 yards in it, with the Ping being slightly further, and I struck both of these really nicely. I would have to say the Speedzone was better in terms of launch direction and hitting it where I wanted to. It was very straight, it was a really nice flight. The Ping flew slightly higher and did draw a little bit more. That is the shot shape I do like to see, but I would say I could feel that the shaft was slightly lighter, so it did start a bit left and then draw. So both good on distance, Speedzone probably slightly better on dispersion in this case. Okay, so overall performance, how did these two stack up? Now we've seen out on the course, the two that I hit really well were pretty similar in terms of distance. I would say there was definitely a difference in terms of ball flight. The Speedzone on my good shots was probably slightly more powerful actually, and a little lower in terms of flight, where the Ping was definitely flying higher. I would also say there was a difference in shot shape. The Ping was definitely favouring more towards a draw, whereas with the Speedzone I was hitting more of a little fade. Now both of these were quite controllable on my good shots, but I would say with the Speedzone it felt a little bit spinnier on my bad shots and I was losing the dispersion a bit more. Having said that, the consistency of shot shape was a lot better with the Speedzone. I also found the start line was more consistent. So in terms of kind of neutral shape of shot and consistent start line, the Speedzone was better, but probably not as consistent, and I just felt a bit more confident with the Ping. The strike was more consistent and therefore the distance was consistent shot after shot. and I would say on average the Ping was travelling further, and this was just because my misstrikes with the Speedzone were a bit spinny, so I was losing out on distance. Now this doesn't mean my two best shots weren't the same, but you're never going to hit your best shots time after time, so it's important that on that bad shot you're still getting that distance and getting a decent dispersion. Was that a clean sweep for the Ping? It seems a bit harsh on the Speedzone, because I really was impressed with how it performed, but the Ping G410 Plus has just been such a high performer this year, so I guess it's just the luck of the draw. Speaking of the draw, Alex, who's up next week?
Ben Hogan, GS53.
We'll go head to head with
Wilson, D7.
We'll see you again soon for the next round of the NCG Driver World Cup.